All right. Welcome to Camp Content. We are coming in hot with another episode. We are sitting today with Dustin Bogle from Lead the Way Fitness, which he has had for 10 years, helping people transform their lives, feel better, hold them accountable, all the good things. And he also owns a company called Gym Reinforcement for the last 3 years, where he's been able to scale the work that he's doing and help other gym owners. So it's a really interesting combination. If anybody out there is an Alex Hormozi fan, you might say, hey, this sounds a little bit familiar. If anybody knows me at all, they know I'm a huge Alex Hormozi fan. Can't wait for $100 million leads to come out in 6 weeks or 5.5 weeks now. Not to be too fangirl, but I'm super excited to chat with you today, Dustin, for a lot of different reasons. But welcome to the show. Thanks for joining us.
Yes, thank you. I'm super excited. And I know we'll definitely leave the audience with some sort of value. Hopefully by me owning gyms in California and living in Texas, I might have some cool strategies on how to remotely lead a team. And then having a team that's, near 100 people for my online sales agency, a lot of learning lessons, made a lot of mistakes. So I'm here to just hand them the golden nugget so they don't have to sift through the dirt themselves.
Let's just jump
kind of right into that, remotely leading a team, because that's literally our company right here. I mean, Molly's in Costa Rica, I'm in DC. We've got people across this side of the world, somebody in Nashville, somebody over here. Like,
right. We're all over Vietnam, Philippines, Dubai, all over the world. But what I really want to ask you is, let's really talk about the fact that you are living in Texas and your brick and mortar businesses are in California. Did I hear that correctly?
Yeah.
So that sounds very counterintuitive to what we've ever heard, right? Like you got, brick and mortar business, you're chained to it, you can't leave, you can't scale. So let's talk about that. Did you always live in another state with these businesses, or was that a transition that happened? Tell me a little more about that.
Great question. I'm born and raised California. So I'm a newly adopted Texas. They let me in. I had to put my hand on the Bible. I had to buy a gun. I had to buy brisket. And now they let me in. And now I'm
Armadillo
a Texan.
boots.
Yes, exactly. But born and raised California, loved it. I just think it got to a place where when we became parents, it wasn't where we wanted to raise our kids for cost of living, traffic, crime, just, a list of things. And so we wanted to go a little bit more Midwest, a little bit more family values. And that was, the call for that. But I've always been somebody to be a little bit more of a pioneer and push mindset and beliefs. And when other people would be afraid to leave the state where their brick and mortars are, I have a high risk tolerance. And I said, I will figure it out. Everything I've had to do in business, I've had to figure out for the first time, because many people probably listening to this can relate. You are a first generation business owner. If you don't come from a line of entrepreneurs, if your parents didn't sit you down and teach you how to do it, you are the trailblazer. And so think about that. Like if you had a brick and mortar, I didn't know how to sign a commercial lease, had to figure it out, how to hire my first employee, how to run my first Facebook ad. I had to learn it all. And I just started building this tool belt of skills, which really are weapons in business, and business is war. And so you want to keep building up your skills. So then I looked at it as just another skill. Okay, now I'm going to go and acquire the skill of running a brick and mortar in another state. Let's go. And so luckily, my wife is always willing to strap into the roller coaster of our entrepreneurial journey, and she was ready to go. But it's one of those things that I think it all comes down to in everything in life, the quality of the questions you ask yourself. Most people would list all the reasons they couldn't, where I list, how can I? And then it's very solvable, because if you write down all your fears and concerns, you can say, well, I'm afraid it's going to go to hell in a handbasket. So then my brain goes, well, I need to make quality checks. I need to find leaders who treat this business like it's their own. And I need to probably profit share them in it so they care about it like an owner. And so I just went down all the problems, and then it kind of brings all the anxiety and the stress out. And it's funny because I don't know why this came up. We just watched The Italian Job with my kids. I have two young kids, they're 8 and 10. Random bank robber movie to watch with them, but we did. But one of my favorite takeaways was they said it multiple times. They're like, how are you feeling, before they went and robbed the bad guy? And they said, I feel fine. They're like, you know what that stands for, right? And they broke it down into an acronym. And so it's like freaking out, insecure, neurotic, and then emotional. And that was their example of fine. And so when most people say they're fine, that's the real thing. So I loved that. I was like, oh my God, that's a writer downer. And so if people were going to step into this, whether it's starting a brand new business or going to another state, and they say, here's all the reasons I can't do it, I think, again, you got to just check out all those emotions and figure out just the solvable things you need to do. then it's very logical and it actually reduces the emotions. So yeah, that's kind of the whole backstory behind that.
I love that. I mean, even if like, so it's interesting because talking about like first generation entrepreneurs, I've never heard that, but I love that. And my dad's very entrepreneurial and very business minded, but he's also like a baby boomer and from a different generation. And I thought maybe he just didn't talk to me about business because I'm a woman. But my older brothers are like, no, he never talks. Like, it's a different. So even if you do have parents that are entrepreneurs, they might not have pass that on to you. You know what I mean? So you're still like always out there. And your parents also didn't run a business during a pandemic. Your parents also didn't run a business in the age of the internet where like you could get canceled or shut down or what, like in an afternoon, right? Like everything is a change so fast. So it's like we're all first generation entrepreneurs on some level because it's just changing. So I mean AI, right? Like what? It's just like the whole business atmosphere is like changing so rapidly. So I love that. I'm the same way. I'm like, how do I figure this out? Like I have health problems, and a lot of people would say, "Oh, I'm not going to move to Costa Rica. I don't have health insurance. What if this happens? What if that happens?" And I'm like, "Well, when it does, I'll fly back. Like I'm going to go live in Costa Rica in the meantime, and I'm going to find ways to make my business work for me in the way that I want to live." Right. And so it's a very logical process. Just reverse engineer it. Take your fears. I love that because I bet the number one fear is like, I'm going to get robbed blind. How can you trust employees? They're going to run it off the rails. Well, not if they have a vested interest in the profit sharing. They're not going to be as willing to run it off the rails. So I love that logical approach. So did you always had the business remotely? Like, did it start that way, or were you in California when you formed the businesses?
No, great question. So, fun little fact: we're bringing out a lot of random things about me. So, for 10 years, I was a pro wrestler, and I'm talking elbow drops, baby oil, Hulk Hogan style pro wrestling.
What was the nickname?
So when I was in a tag team with my brother, we changed our last name from Bogle to Cutler because Jay Cutler was our favorite bodybuilder. So we were the Cutler Brothers. And so if you go to YouTube and you search the Cutler Brothers, you'll see us in action.
Definitely.
I had long hair. I'm dropping elbow drops. We're doing double team moves. And we were two personal trainers because that's what we did to pay our bills on the weekdays. And so we would throw protein powder in our opponent's eyes. We'd smash them in the face with dumbbells. We had a whole little show, and people loved it. But it is a young man's game, and I always put a clock on myself. I got in at 18. I said 28. I'll get it 10 years. If something doesn't happen, I'm out. And my backup plan was always fitness. And so I always train people on my own, going to their house. So they came to my garage. I had a really nice 3-car garage. I turned it into a gym. And eventually, when I finally made that call to walk away from wrestling, I went all in on fitness, and I opened my first gym in California. And then over a course of 6 years, I opened 6 gyms. So one a year, just back to back to back, because I had learned marketing. I had learned content. It was when Facebook ads were dirt cheap. I was getting leads for $1, and we were selling a grand opening challenge for $150 to $200. So it's just like the ROAS was through the roof. And now, again, more people are in the platform. It's more expensive, but that's what gave me the confidence. I was like, man, if it's just like printing money, if this is always how it'll be. What I didn't know, again, as a first generation entrepreneur, is easier when you're the new flavor in town. When you open a new business is when you will be the hottest thing in town. There's all this excitement. You're cutting the ribbon. You got all these, people who've been just waiting for you to open doors. From that point forward, it's harder. And the longer it goes, the harder it gets. You get to 5 years, you get to 10 years. How do you keep yourself relevant? And you're at a specific location. You can't open up your marketing nationwide. You're just going to about a 5-mile radius.
Right.
So yeah, that was definitely how it all started. And then again, when we made that call that we wanted to move to Texas, I had to figure out a new way of like, okay, how do I run these things now that I'm not going to be here? And I started to put the things in place, the leadership, the checklist, the systems, everything. So that could be a possibility. So now we're here 3 years without being there on site. I go about twice a year, visit my team, spend time with them because I do enjoy being around them. I do like pouring into them. But not to say it's all sunshine and rainbows. Obviously, there's challenges all businesses do. But I guess the big takeaway we want to pass on to the listeners is it's possible. Whatever you could think of, it is possible. It just takes courage and then, again, just problem solving to get there.
And it's a bit of a mindset shift too, right? Because I've talked to a lot of people who have worked with like they've had team members on the other side of the world, and they're like, "Yeah, the time difference kills me." And I'm like, "Well, you're on the wrong side of it, man. You get on the right side of it, and the time difference is your superpower because you can get stuff done while you're sleeping. But if you wait until you wake up to tell them what to do, then now it's working against you, right? So like it's perspective, because I know so many people who won't work with overseas people because of time difference, and I'm like, that's exactly why I work with them, you know. Perspective really is everything, you know. So tell me, gym reinforcement, did you start that right around the same time that you moved into Texas? It kind of sounds like it with the timeline.
Yeah, exactly. So, you know, us entrepreneurs, we don't like to sit around with a lot of free time. So now I'm not going to my gyms and I'm thousands of miles away, and I'm like, this ain't gonna work. Like I need to solve, you know, more problems. And also at that time, I think most entrepreneurs tend to live in like a 10 to 15 year cycle where you're ready to move on to a newer and bigger thing. And that's kind of where I was. I was like, hey, I've done the fitness thing so long. It no longer challenges me like to teach people how to cook and how to shop and how to, you know, lose fat. Like I feel like I've conquered that hill. I want to go to a bigger thing. So then we went to B2B, which is we're going to help gym owners do their lead follow-up and sell trial programs on their behalf and actually go into their business and do that in their CRM. And that way they could see it happening right before their eyes. And it's only because that was what I found to be a huge game changer for me. We've all heard that phrase, the fortunes of the follow-up. So I actually made a fortune follow-up system that, again, kind of like, you know, leaving town, I would show people what exactly I want to do and what I need them to do to get us more sales from our marketing. And so I outlined this system, but then I decided to make it like, I'm going to now make this a done for you solution for gym owners. And so that's what we do for them.
Yeah, I feel like it's a lot of the same mindset. So, you know, kind of one of the similarities, because you're, like you said, you're going from helping personal individuals achieve physical goals to now businesses and gym owners achieve, I guess, financial goals and growth goals and stuff like that. It's got a lot of the same. And so it's just had to be a smooth transition. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, for me, it was just became a bigger challenge, which kept me, you know, interested in what I'm doing. And at the end of the day, like I had to start learning other models because like I have my model, but then I would start working with F45s and fit body boot camps and then personal training centers and then Pilates studios. And so just hearing how everybody does things different, I definitely saw a lot of similarities because I think we're all, as entrepreneurs, we're really sensitive to patterns. We pick up on them quickly. And so I said, okay, everybody has some sort of trial. Some people do a week, some people do a 30-day challenge. So we're just going to sell that trial and then you guys will sell the membership. Again, you kind of continue to ascend into problem solving. But then I kept hearing, we don't have anybody here good at membership sales either. So we decided to make this tier 2 package where we'll do your trials and we'll do your memberships. And so we help a lot of owners with that. But at the end of the day, it's not just in fitness. I feel like follow-up hurts all business models that even me, we recently put a pool in our house and I called 3 pool companies and never to this day got a return call from them. And I'm like, I'm calling with like a $multi-$100,000 job and you're not even calling me and giving me your time. And then the next
you need
guy,
to start a pool business in your neighborhood. That's what I'm hearing. Like,
yeah, exactly. The next guy, he was doing 1 week cycles between email replies. So I'd write him 7 days later, he'd write me back. I would reply same day, 7 days later, a few of those. And I was like, I can't work with this. The final guy that got the business, he said, I will be there this afternoon. He measured everything out. I show him my sketch. He said, I know exactly how to make this come to life. He said, in 2 days, I need you to come to my showroom. I'm going to have like a 3D mock-up. Me and my wife show up. He welcomes us in with a water bottle, a granola bar, sit down, takes us into like a theater room, has an 80-inch TV, little 3D mock-up of our whole backyard, how it would look with the outdoor living, the pool, brought it to life, even had like waterfall sound effects, and then took us into the next room and was like picking out materials. Complete assumed close. Like we never even signed a contract. I never said, but like I was loving it because as a sales guy, I know what he's doing, but I'm loving it because I love to be sold too. And we're picking out our materials. And then I signed on the dotted line, hook, line, and sinker because I was like, this is how you run a business. You get a hold of people quickly, you give them quality service, you assume their needs, you solve their problems, and then you ask for the sale. And he did that like a system, which I loved. And so 4 other guys should have got the business before him, but because he had the most dialed in follow up, he got a $200,000 job. So it's like, hey, all businesses, how good is your follow up? I believe most businesses don't need more leads. They need better lead follow up.
I would have to say that too, right? Like Hormozy said, the niches are, or the riches are in the niches, and right, I think it's the same. I think we're in this like world of just like more, go viral, get 5,000 likes, get 10,000 likes. It's like, yeah, but how many discovery calls did you do, and did you follow up with them? Because like that's where the money is. It's not in like casting this wide net, like trolling in the ocean, dragging the bottom of the floor, catching anything you can. It's like follow up with the people that are showing interest, follow up with the sales calls that you've had, and like go deeper instead of wider. So tell me a little bit about the journey with gym reinforcement. You have 100 team members. Like that's a lot of growth in 3 years.
Yes. And that was a learning lesson because that was my first online company. So a first generation brick and mortar owner and then a first generation online business owner. So one thing I learned, and maybe this could apply to you guys and other online businesses, is your culture is literally like this. Like it's on Zoom, it's on, your online interactions. Because when you're in person, it's the hanging out in the break room, it's the passing by each other. It's like, hey, just so you know, this is what's going on. You don't get those serendipitous moments online. We're all offline and we're working, and we're disconnected. So it's about carefully creating engaging moments when we do connect, when we do get together. Let's ask each other about like, hey, what's going on in your personal life? Like, let's not just dive into the tasks of the day. What's going on in your world? How are your kids? What's going on? And so we start all of our meetings with a personal and professional update, where it's just like, tell us something going on in your personal life and tell us something that you're working on that you're excited about. It doesn't have to be like the most important thing in the company, but it excites you. And it's just kind of good for me to hear what people like working on, right? Because then to send them more of that stuff and take away the stuff that they don't ever report on, and find someone else that likes to do that. So again, just like really being mindful, not allowing just like inauthentic and not genuine behavior. Like again, we got to be cameras on. We're an online company. You can't get on an online company, be cameras off. You're disconnected from the culture. That's like me walking in with a hoodie to work at the gym one day and just being shut off and bad body language. Like, no, camera on. You're here. You're engaged. You want to be part of the team. And then again, like having a playful chat. Like you guys have a group chat, Slack. Do like a break room, do silly gifs in there, do like silly questions you drop in there once a week, but just do things to get people to talk. Engagement is a huge sign of a positive culture. When people are disengaged, they're not talking, that's like a red flag, right? So that is obviously a little bit more challenging to stimulate in an online setting, but it can be done, and look at it again as a challenge. And then the final thing is, we have people in different time zones as well. How do you bring everyone together? And so it's just starting out from the beginning with expectations, where it's like, hey, once a month we do have all hands, regardless of your time zone, you need to be on it. Does that work for you? And so that way, if you told them this on the front end, there is not going to be any weird stuff on the back end. And so a lot of business owners, I find, fitness or non, fail to set proper standards and expectations. They focus on the job. Like, this is what I need you to do, but they don't look at all the other things that are going to play into it. What are you expecting in terms of communication? Again, so much of business is built on communication. If I send you an email, are you expected to reply? Is it cool if you don't reply? What's the deal with that, right? If I do reply, what's the speed at which you want to reply? Do you expect it same day, within 2 hours? Can I get back to you the next day? Do you have like a rating system? Like, hey, if it's super urgent, we'll give it a 10. If it's not urgent, we'll give it a 1. These are just very simple things, but so many owners fail to set it up. And then they get frustrated when people, you might get a superstar who's like on top of things. They're responding. They're super engaged. They show up everything on time. And then you got another person who's late. Their camera's off. They don't respond to things. Well, my argument is not they're a bad team player. You're a bad leader. You didn't set the right expectations. You didn't set the cadence of how we march here. If you did, they probably would have shaped up. And most people respect accountability. We think they won't, and we're going to be this person that's going to be grinding on them. But in all reality, people need it, they like it, and they want it. So, be that for your team leaders, your team members, because it can really change your business. And I made mistakes, so I'm not going to point the finger or pretend that my hiring process has been perfect since day one. But I'm just sharing painful experiences, hopefully, so other people don't have to repeat them.
Yeah, I mean, it's great advice. It's easy as a business owner to forget and to like lose that communication, and it's a good reminder for me too. I've recently been putting some. We follow Ray Dalio on social media, and so I've thrown a couple of his posts in there, and Just little things to communicate more, because sometimes you get tunnel vision as a business owner and you're focused on payroll and you're focused on other things, and you have to remember there's like and you're focused on the people because you're worried about payroll, but you also got to focus on the people and not just the payroll, right? Like you got to make you got to remember that and meet people where they're at, right? So that's a good reminder. So let's talk a little bit about content marketing. How do you use content marketing for gym reinforcement or Lead the Way Fitness? Like, how has that come into play for you?
Yeah, I mean, content's huge. I mean, content is here. It's not going anywhere. If someone's not making content for their business, that is self-inflicted wounds that you're putting on yourself. Like, you're making business harder than it needs to be. And you could kind of play devil's advocate. We could say, well, it's super painful for me to make content. I don't like it. I don't know how to make it. I don't know how to get started. And so it's one of those things that, just like anything in business, you got to figure it out. You got to figure out what works for you. And so what I would recommend is I really love the word hero, and a lot of good marketing companies out there use it in different ways. For number one, they make client hero stories. So I actually wrote a book, so it's called Reinforce Your Gym, but there's plenty of things in here that can apply to any business. And one of the concepts I talk about is Super Mario marketing. And so most people know the game Super Mario. You get Mario, and then he touches the fire flower, and then now he's Fire Mario, and he's kicking ass, and he's shooting the fireballs everywhere. What I point out in the concept is your customer's Mario, your product is the fire flower, and after they use it, they become Fire Mario. What does that mean? That means you need to tell them how they're going to kick ass in life and be an upgraded version of them when they use your product, right? So it's like the iPhone. You could be a iPhone person, which you're just going to be standard Mario. Or once I give you this weapon and you take photos, you can surf the internet, you got apps, you are now Fire Mario. So like, take my product, you will be an upgraded version. So that is what you're trying to do in your marketing. And that is, you talking about your company. But the best way to do it is to make stories, client hero stories, where you show their before and after transformation. This was, so-and-so, he was the Mario before, then he used our product or service. Here's how he's kicking ass in life, and he's Fire Mario now. And so it's an easy way for you to just, if you don't, because what I hear most business owners push back, they don't like to be on camera. They don't want to film. They don't have time. And I say, you know what? You got a lot of selfishness in you, the way you're saying it, because everything is about you. I don't have time. I don't want to get on camera. I don't want to make content. And I'm like, that's the wrong way. You probably got in business because you want to serve. So change your outlook on content to, they will benefit. They will be on my content. They will get to see what will be better in their life when they use my product or service. And then it switches your brain from like, oh, this is service. This isn't about me, right? So that's a great way to look at it. How do we use it in gym reinforcements? I'd say there's three main things. Number one, podcasts. They're huge. Like I have a podcast with my buddy Matt Wilbur. We just talk all gym owner problems. It's called the Fitness Empire Podcast.
Nice.
I love it because you could take it, you could slice it into reels. You could, you got it on audio. It lives forever. If you title it the right thing, you could get a lot of search results. We do a lot of podcasts where it's how to. So it's like how to open your gym with 300 members. Like it's easy. And if you could just sit down and talk and, find a guest, find a client, find a team member, and just talk about real problems in your business. Talk about problems you're solving. Talk about a client you're serving. Maybe hide their name, obviously, but that's an easy jumpstart way. The second is we offer free workshops twice a month. So I'll just get on Zoom. I'll say, hey, I'm going to show you how to get 100 leads every month guaranteed. Or I'm going to show you how to 10x your retail sales. And I have a special guest speaker who's, from this company. And so then that's also something I could take and cut up a lot of different ways. It could be podcasts, it could be reels, but we love workshops. It also helps me to give to my community without asking for a sale or like, trying to make it feel like it's a hard pressure. I'm just giving. And one of the things I've learned is that a lot of people are hanging out with you and you don't know it. And that just basically means they're consuming your content. They're sitting in their car listening to you. They're sitting by their computer watching you. They're on their treadmill watching you. And so that's the beauty of content, is that there's thousands of you all around the world doing what you do best, which is talk about your product or service. So that's the second one, workshop. And then the third, I do enjoy writing. I wrote a book. So I do write sales tips in my Facebook group and on my email blast as well. And so written content. So audio, video, and written. I mean, but these, I will say, were things that I've built for many years. I just did writing for probably 6 years, and I even wrote for a local newspaper, which most people don't even know what those are anymore.
And it seems to do a good bit of blogging on your site too, and everything. And
yes.
yeah.
So I would say there's a lot of platforms. A formula that I found has worked really well for people is you pick one and you laser focus on that one for an entire year. And the next year you add another platform or another form of media. And so what you see now is I've been making content for 10 years, and for every year I've been adding one more platform. And so don't try to match me if you're year one as a business. Like, just do Facebook this year and just post Monday through Friday for a year. Then next year, add Instagram, and then continue to go on. And that's how you'll become a snowball at making media, like a giant snowball.
I think that's great advice, because there's always like a new shiny thing, like Threads, right? Like is now like the new thing, and it's like, well, is that really going to help you get to the money today, right? Like, is that the straightest path to the money? Is that going to help you out? Like, no, it's just a distraction right now, And so really dialing in and building that arsenal, and of course I get to advocate for podcasts, because they're, business development, client acquisition, client retention, they're a Trojan horse for SEO content, blog posts, reels, shorts. I mean, it's just like, it's a massive resource for creating all kinds of content. So I'm with you on that, and obviously you see the benefit of going on other people's podcasts to get in front of new people. Which, I'm always pushing the value of relationships, right? And you just never know, what's going to come of this relationship. Maybe I'll hire you. Maybe someone of my listeners are high. Like, you just never know where that business is coming from. And I think podcasting, especially in the age of AI, where it's like, who wrote that? It's like, well, nobody's replacing you right now. This is the real Dustin, and nobody can replace that voice. And that authenticity, I think, is going to become increasingly more valuable as we enter this age of AI, where you're like, is that even a real person? Is that even, is this a deep fake? Is this like, did the Pope really wear that jacket? Right. So,
did Drake make that song? Yeah.
Right. Which is almost even like a nod for like showing up imperfectly on camera, because then it wasn't AI, right? Like, be a little ugly on camera, like mess it up. Don't be the best guy like on camera. Don't be perfect. Don't have a studio. Just be yourself. Because it's like you said, and Donald Miller, right? I'm a fan of Story Brand, right? And he talks about like, you're not the hero of the story, you're the guide, you're the Yoda, right? But I like the Super Mario version better. It's a easier way to see that. It's like, you're not the hero, and so often, you open a newsletter and it's like certified licensed therapist and all these letters and all these accolades and all these logos, and it's like, man, I'm happy for you, right? But I'm not here for your transformation. I'm here for my transformation, And that's great that you did that, but like, I want to do that, right? So like, can we talk about me now, and how do I see myself in that position? And I think a lot of people get that really wrong. So that's excellent advice.
I jokingly say everyone's favorite radio station is WIIFM, and it stands for What's in It for Me. And like, everyone's tuning into that radio station all day long.
Yeah.
And like you said, the way that you do the Fire Mario wrong is the business owner's Mario, the customer's the Fire Flower, and then the business owner becomes Fire Mario. And they say, I got more customers, I got more money, look at me, my life is good. That's the wrong way to do it. So it is about fighting your internal, again, it's ego and it's status, and it's the thing that drives us, a lot of us, to make decisions. To say, I made a 7-figure company. It's like, look at my car. It's, like you said, the accolades. It is about me. You have to fight that, because that is like just naturally put into us for survival. But once you got your bills paid and you're moving up, Maslow's hierarchy of needs, like, you don't need to fight for that so much. You need to say, how do I help other people get up this to where I am? And like, I'm going to start lifting other people up. So yeah, that's the right way to go about it, for sure.
Well, Dustin, I got to say, you're a pretty rad dude. Like, I respect the fact that you own a business that helps people get more fit and feel better and live longer and be healthier. And now you own another business that helps people to help more people be fit and feel better and live longer. And then those business owners are making money. So you're creating a whole lot of good karma in the world. And I would imagine that that's pretty fulfilling. So thanks for doing that.
Yeah,
I appreciate it. Yes. Our mission statement at Gym Reinforcement is to create healthy bodies and businesses through sales. So exactly what you said, that is what we're after. So I'm glad that you recognize that. But thank you. I appreciate that compliment.
Hey man, it's just the truth. It's you want to feel good about the work that you're doing, and you want to know that it's not just about the money, right? And that you're helping people, and it's very core of your business is people getting healthier, and that empowerment and that fulfillment that you get from being fit, and not a certain weight, not a certain strength, but just being getting people to where they want to be, right? So it's a beautiful thing for sure. So.
And if they can't get to where they want to be, if we throw protein powder in their eyes and hit them with a dumbbell, easy enough.
There you go. That's the color will come out.
Throw them in on the rails or something, right? That's the lingo. All right. Well, before we go, do you want to tell people like how they can find you? What should they know before we say goodbye?
Yeah, I mean, I doubt that there's any specific gym owners, but if there are, or people who just want to check out what's in this book, I would say reinforce your gym. We're just a small niche, right? There's only 50,000 gyms in the US. And the reason that I'm so motivated to help our country get healthy and fit is because we're on track to be 50% obese by the year 2030. And so what we're doing is not working. The numbers just keep going up. I would I would die fulfilled if the numbers started going backwards, that we started getting healthier as a country, not fatter. So that's why I'm so motivated to help other gyms, because we do a lot of things that push people away from fitness, where I want to teach you how to draw people in. So this is written for gym owners, but there is a lot of practical stuff that can apply to any business. So I would say grab this on Amazon, $10-15 based on if you want hardcover or paperback. But I'm most active on Facebook and Instagram. Just search my name. You'll see me come up. And if you are a gym owner, I also have a Facebook group for gym owners. Just search Fitness Sales Made Simple. So those will probably be the top places. But yes, thank you for having me, Molly. Love connecting with you.
Great.
Matt, same to talking with you as well. And just love helping entrepreneurs. So if anybody has any questions, they could DM me. I've helped many non-fitness, business owners to just think differently or change their strategy and help them get ahead. So I'm happy to do that.
I love it. Well, this was an awesome interview, man. Thank you so much for showing up and dropping so much value for the audience and for us too, right? It's always a good reminder. Sometimes these episodes are for the audience, and then sometimes I'm taking notes, right? Like quite often actually. So thank you for the reminder on leadership, right? Because it's always important. It's always important. So thank you for your time, Dustin. It was a pleasure hanging out with you, and we'll look forward to seeing you again for sure.
Thank you guys. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you for tuning in to Camp Content. We hope you found some value here. I don't see how you couldn't. Dustin is a super smart dude, so definitely go get his book, hit him up on social media. And if you are a gym owner, I don't know why you wouldn't be super motivated to hit him up and check their stuff out. And if you found this content valuable, please consider tagging us on LinkedIn. Tag Dustin on LinkedIn when the episode is live and let us know how you feel about it. And we can chop it up on LinkedIn and have a good time together. So until next time, be excellent to each other, and we'll see you real soon.
Produced by Heartcast Media.